Welcome back. In this video, we're going to take a look at adding text boxes. Text boxes are often used to call out specific information, give tips, or add ancillary or sidebar information that's related to the content that you're putting in, but doesn't flow very well or isn't directly related to the topics that you're speaking of. So I'm going to open up iBooks Author and just pick the elementary algebra template and kind of drop down into one of the normal pages here. Now, we have the ability to just add text boxes by clicking on the little text box icon here. And you notice it kind of mushes the text in behind the existing text, and that's typically not what you want. So what we'll do is we'll click on Inspector, and in the Inspector we have a whole bunch of buttons that are going across the top here, but we'll kind of tackle these one by one as we do different tasks. The third button over handles how the object is placed inside the page. And right now it's set to floating and doesn't move with text, which means I can grab it and kind of move it around wherever I want. But it's also kind of behind the text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it to cause a wrap. And what that's going to do is going to wrap the text around my text box. So I can kind of put it, wherever it is that I want. I can kind of set it in the middle of the page here. You can also set it to wrap just left or to the right, or both sides with some justification, or just over and under, and how tight the text is going to fit to that justification. So if you put in a shape and you want the text to kind of follow around the shape and you want to follow it very closely, you can do that. This kind of gives you a little area to add some padding. Now, kind of going across, we can format how the text looks, how the paragraph's formatted, the position of the text. So if I want it centered, I can center it here. Or if I want it at the bottom, we can create lists, tabs, and there's some additional content here for adding borders. So let's actually go through and add a border, and that'll add a border to our text. So if we wanted the top of this text box to maybe have a title and then have some additional text underneath, you notice when I hit enter, it created another line underneath my text. Well, I can just go and shut that off now, and you'll see I can type in my text here without having the border, and just have my little title up on the top, and then maybe highlight this guy and pick a style and say, have a little emphasis so he's bold. Now, some further ways you can kind of separate this out from the background is you can highlight the text and give the character a specific color, and that'll change the background of the characters, of the text characters, which may or may not be what you want. And it's typically not, and a lot of people get frustrated because they choose these character and paragraph background fills, and it doesn't do exactly what they think it should do, which is fill this entire box. And I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a second. And I'm just going to Command Z this back a couple times. There we go. And put the emphasis back on here. We can do some things with how to handle pagination and breaks, but that doesn't really apply to the text box. This is just more standard text formatting. Now, if I want to handle giving this guy some shading, I can go to the little object, a graphical object box here called graphic, and then give it a fill. So I can say gradient fill, and now you can see it fills out the box all nice and neat. You can control the size and rotation, so you can actually rotate your box if you want to kind of offset a little bit. You can set it to an exact size and put it in an exact position. These next two handle tables and charts. This one is for handling hyperlinks, if you're going to add links to external resources. And the one on the end is set there for layout, and depending on what you're putting in, it's sensitive to what type of data it is. So in this case, we have a text box. I can add a title to this text box. I can add a background to it. I can add a caption below it. And then you can lay this out different ways. So you can just say lay this all out at the bottom, or lay this all out freeform, however it is that you want. Under here, we have this thing called labels. And what labels do are they automatically track and keep track of the content that you add in. So let's say this was a figure. I can add this in here, and when I go to add the next one, it'll automatically keep the numbering straight for me. So I don't have to worry about, is this figure 2, is this figure 3, or what have you. So that's very handy.